I will use the Fleece and Fiber Sourcebook as my primary. Oh, Trish. What? Hi, welcome to FiberLoveDiary. Oh, hey, bud. We'll do that again. What are you doing? Please. How's that? Hi, welcome to FiberLoveDiary. I'm Trish if we haven't met, and if we have met, welcome back. You're probably one of my people. You probably understand my love of wool, and you like to hang out. I love that. I appreciate you so much too if you're one of my people. This is the channel where I am documenting my fiber journey. Wait, decaf. So I've been spinning quite a bit lately. Big projects. Remember the Romney cross with the sari silk? My first hank is plied and off the wheel, 956 yards. Not kidding. 956. And I have at least 3 more this size to go. It is very lightweight. I would say it's probably like a heavy fingering. I don't think we've crossed over into sport. I didn't count the wraps per inch, and I probably won't. What I'll do is just swatch it, because sometimes those things, the swatch is the truth. You know what I'm saying? I know you guys hate hearing that. Sorry. Okay, I had to change my battery. So it's September 2023. It's been quite a while since I did a breed study video. I actually had to go back and watch one to get the format because I couldn't remember exactly. Like, I knew mostly what I did, but what order and all that. I kept the format throughout the breed study, and I wanted to make sure I continued the format. So I had to go watch an old video. This month in September 2023, Paradise Fibers sent to us a like mini 7 breed study. I had already included some of those breeds in the breed study that I did previously. So I've removed those. Those are the Icelandic, the Polworth, and isn't there one more? The Falkland. Those were all in my previous breed study. If you're interested in jumping on that, it's like 15 episodes. It is in a playlist, which I will link the playlist below so you don't have to go hunting for all the separate episodes. Wait, is it more? I think I did an extra one. It might be 16. Whatever. It's a bunch of episodes. I will also link to the study sheet, which I am going to have to find. I had it on Pinterest. I uploaded it to Pinterest so that anybody could use the format for their own study sheet if they wanted to. So I'll link it if you want to do this with me and you got your Paradise Fibers box, or you just happen to have these already in your stash. Let's go. I'll be using the Fleece and Fiber Sourcebook as my primary source of information. If I can't find enough in there, because that has happened once or twice, I've like used Google and websites, and also the Spinner's Book of Fleece has been sort of a backup for me. So if I need to use any of those, I will let you know that I got the information from there. And let's jump into it. The 4 that I have left are Scandinavian. Did not even actually know that was like a breed. Cormo, which of course I knew was a breed. Hebridean, did know. Shropshire, did know. I bought some Shropshire and a couple other things kind of recently to do an extension of the sock study. So I think what I'm gonna do is put the Shropshire in with a different breed that I've already purchased, and then I'll add another breed to the Hebridean when I get to that video, because I bought some breeds that were not included in the original breed study to like extend it and just haven't gotten to it. So I'm gonna supplement what we got, and then there will also be an extension of the sock study. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna do 2 more breed study videos, and then I'll do a sock study video. These will probably stretch out over, I don't know, 6 weeks maybe. I just have so many projects going right now, you guys. You would not, I don't even want to tell people, to be honest, okay? Just like we did previously, I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the breed, and then we're going to check the staple and decide how to spin it. We're going to do Cormo first, and I have spun Cormo before, but never commercially processed. I've always processed it myself. It's quite greasy. So if you ever want to process it yourself, just know that you may have to do multiple washes to remove grease. My experience has been that the grease is quite sticky. That is different in different breeds. I've already pulled Cormo up on my Kindle. I have a new Kindle since the old breed study even. So we're going to read a little bit about like the history and then the characteristics of the breed, and then we'll go spin it. So what they sent was all top. That's all I did in the breed study before. So that's another important factor too. Cormo was developed in Tasmania. It's a shepherd named, oh, Luther just dropped his Kong on the floor. A shepherd named Ian Downey who raised superfine Saxon Merinos, called on Helen Newton Turner, I am reading, one of the world's greatest leading sheep geneticists, to help him improve his flock's performance. They wanted to increase the same things that we talked about in many of the other breed studies: the size of the sheep, the fleece of the sheep, in this case also fertility. So they bred Corriedales into the Merino stock, and that's how they got Cor and then M-O, Merino, Cormos. That part I did know. And what they did, as they do in selective breeding programs, they picked the animals that represented what they were trying to do the best, and then kept those in the breeding stock, etc., etc., etc. And that is like a normal breeding program. Okay, so it also says, which I guess I didn't know this exactly, because they were so scientific when they did the breeding analysis and the choices for the future breeding animals, Cormo fleeces are extraordinarily consistent. There's a lot here, but it also says, like, one of the interesting things is that tight control over how they chose who was going to continue to breed. It shows up most strongly, again I'm reading, in the requirement that at least 90% of a single animal's fleece be within 2 microns of the average count of that fleece. That's nuts. What they're saying is all over the sheep fleece, 90% of it has to be very consistent in micron count. That's super unusual. Okay, it has well-defined crimp. It says it's generally very fluffy, but it's got good body in the fiber. Oh, for clarity, like if you want to do patterns, so cables, lace, those types of things. It also says Cormo will felt moderately well. My experience has been that it is lovely. So they generally are a pretty big fleece, 5 to 12 pounds. The staple length generally, this is of course from here, is 3 1/4 to 5 inches, and the fiber diameter should normally be about 17 to 23 microns. Natural colors are white. Those are the characteristics. It says it takes dye very well, nice clear colors. There are some fiber prep and spinning tips, as always. They do say in here, because the fiber diameter is narrow, it's a very fine fiber, to be careful. And we've talked a bit about in the past about how very fine fibers will tend to produce neps if you card them in a drum carder. So for me, what I actually like to do is either comb it or flick it and spin it from the locks, but everybody's different and there is no right and wrong. Oh, it actually says that here. Hang on. It says spin directly from the locks, flick them, hand or drum card using fine carding cloth or comb. So really they're saying you can do whatever you want. Also, it says it has a tendency to fluff up a lot. We'll see how that goes. It's good for knitting, crocheting, and weaving. Definitely suitable for next to skin and baby. Wow, it says the finest Cormos are gentle as cashmere. It's best known for having a soft fleece that is long stapled and remarkably consistent throughout a single animal's fleece. All right, let's take this out and we will measure the staple length. It is very soft. What they said was 3 1/4 to 5 inch staple. I wouldn't be surprised if this was even a little bit longer. I have had longer fleeces than that from Cormo. Just trying to get to the end. Like, yeah, let's pull it off of there. Okay, so what I always do is get to the point, wiggle myself out where I'm holding the 2 ends and they're not pulling apart. Still not. Because that tells me I am touching ends of the same staple. Also, boy, I can feel how elastic this is now, and that does not happen very often. Cool. Okay, just checking it. Let's measure. This is a little bit over 5 inches in staple. So it's on the long end in Cormo, and I think because this is so fluffy, I always have to decide like how I'm going to draft it after I touch it and look at it. It's going to fluff up a lot. And I have had that experience in other breed study videos. It's gonna really, even if you think you're spinning this tiny, tiny little lace weight yarn, the fluff will give you something much wider when you're done in diameter. So I'm going to spin it short forward. A lot of times with a fluffy yarn, I don't go that way, but I am gonna do that because I know it's gonna fluff up a lot. Let's go spin it. Sorry about the window behind me, but I need to film this way for today. Whew. I am done with the spinning, and these make a great contrast. Comparison isn't really the right word because they have almost nothing in common except for they both came from a sheep. But that's really cool, right? We had 2 ounces of the Cormo, and it is super, we're gonna come in close, super squishy. I got, let's see, 132 yards out of 2 ounces, and I could have spun this double thick, or I guess half thickness, double the length easily. It would have been no problem to do. It just spins really, really easily, and it fluffs up, which is what we expected. To me, it is next to skin. I know that is subjective. Some people can't have any wool next to their skin, but to me, like I would make a baby garment out of it. It is just so soft and squishy, and it spun up really easily. I mean, 5 stars. I have spun Cormo before, but I don't believe that I've ever spun it commercially processed. I'm trying to think if we might have gotten some before from Paradise in a package, but I don't think that I ever did. Or if I did, I didn't spin it. You know, I still have some stuff that I haven't gotten to. Just mind your business, okay? I loved it. I would spin it again. I would love to buy myself a ridiculous amount. I had to take a research break. So the second one is just marked Scandinavian. I had to do some research to figure out the deal. So I don't remember if I said it out loud, but when we opened this little mini breed study from Paradise, I remember thinking and maybe saying, I didn't even know there was a breed of sheep called the Scandinavian sheep. There's multiple breeds of sheep that come from Scandinavian countries, a bunch of them. I was like, I've never heard of that. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's not in the Fleece and Fiber source book, so I did some research. Boom, researcher. Long story short, what I found is that actually what this wool, which is called Scandinavian, comes from descendants of the Northern European short-tailed breeds, and that's also not in the Fleece and Fiber source book, at least not in any way that I could search for. And so I went to Wikipedia, but there is a Wikipedia page that covers them. The characteristics are that they're generally smaller sheep, and that they have fluke-shaped tails. It says the horns vary between breeds and often within them. So they may have horns on both sexes, which is kind of unusual. It's not like no other breeds have that, but a lot of them don't. They could be patterned or solid colored. They often come in white, black, or morit, which is brown. Some of these sheep breeds are Icelandic and Shetland. There are others, and it says some of them molt, so they can be rude, which we talked about in, I think it was 10 with the Shetlands, that you can rue Shetlands, or some Shetlands can be rude. I don't think I realized that Icelandic sheep could be rude, but so that's interesting info. It says they have a lot of twins. That's always one of those things that breeders love. Other breeds that fit into this category are Finn, Romanov, and Icelandic I said. It also says most types are very hardy and agile. Sheep that live in the mountains, that's very common characteristic, or that were bred or developed in the mountains. Okay, so actually what it says in the history part is that there were sheep brought as travel became more common. There were sheep brought from Southern Europe that had longer tails and they were bigger, and they sort of bred into all the different breeds. So they had influence on how the breed is now. It says some breeds are extinct because Northern European short-tailed sheep cover like a range of breeds. It really doesn't say anything about what we can expect as far as microns. I mean, that would range hugely if it covers a range of breeds. I mean, a lot of times it ranges pretty big within just one breed. So we're just gonna have to go ahead and check the staple on this. I will say that it seems very similar to Icelandic to me, but Icelandic covers a huge range on its own. But just the way it looks and feels. Just looking to see if I see any Kemp. I don't see any, but I will be able to tell more. Oh, maybe one little tiny piece. Is that Kemp or hair? Nope, it's a hair. So I don't see Kemp, but I will be able to tell you better after I spin it. There are a few darker hairs in it. Let's see if we can come in close. There are definitely some visible coarser hairs that would lead me to believe that this is more similar to Icelandic again, because Icelandic sheep are double coated and one of their coats is quite a bit coarser. The outer coat is quite a bit coarser than the like inner next to the skin down coat. Let's check the staple and then we will go spin this guy. Okay. Also, this is like Icelandic. Oh, I need something dark to hold it up against. When I pull this out, I'm holding it at the very top right now. See how there is like a fluff of shorter fibers, but then there is like a, I don't know, a fringe of some very long ones. That is very typical with an Icelandic that has not been separated. So I'm seeing a lot of Icelandic characteristics. And if you see, I am still easily touching the fibers that I'm holding in this hand with this hand, because it doesn't pull apart. That's how you know. And look at how much of it. You can see that there is so much of it that stops like right around here. Very characteristic of Icelandic. So let's measure it. All right, the longest staple here is 6 inches. I'm gonna spin this long draw, or at least with a woolen draft. We'll see if I have to use a shorter woolen draft, but I'm definitely gonna do that. If I use a worsted draft when there is such a difference in staple length, my yarn will, basically what will happen is I'll keep pulling the longer fibers out. It's normal, it just happens. And then you end up with like clumps of the shorter fibers. So I'm gonna go ahead and what I will do is like loosen it up all the way down. This would even be a good one to spin off the folds. That's never my favorite way though. I only do that if like I can't get a good spin another way. I just don't like it as much. So I will loosen it up like this, and I am gonna use a woolen drafting style. We'll see which one I have to use while I'm spinning it. So let's go spin. So we're on the Scandinavian. It has almost no bounce. Let me show you one of the ways you can tell. Look at the difference between the way that this Cormo bounced back and the way once hanked. These hanks were hanked on the same length Swift. So yeah, there's no bounce. There is like no stretch really, as you can see. I did get some thick and thinness spinning it long draw. I don't think when you have a wool that has like different length of fibers like this, I don't think there's really any way to avoid it except maybe from the fold. Like I think I said that too in the beginning. I don't really like spinning from the fold. I do it sometimes when I think it's the best method for whatever I have in my hands, but I do not enjoy it, so it's pretty rare. There is quite a bit of Kemp in here. That's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just something to take note of, I guess. And it's a lot coarser. If you've watched the rest of the breed study, you know that I don't consider this a value judgment. I think that a coarser yarn is just good for different things, and like it's all good for something, and all yarns are my favorite yarns because I am a little bit fickle when it comes to this, so whatever I'm spinning is usually my favorite. I can't help myself. I don't know why I'm like that. I really liked spinning both of these. I really truly did. They each have a place. They're just very different places. I had almost 57 yards on the Scandinavian. I almost forgot to tell you guys. I hope you have a great week. I do want to apologize if you guys were looking forward to Sunday and then kind of at the last minute I said I need to skip this week. I'm learning through everything that I'm doing right now that when I'm looking at the world and I just feel like I'm being hard on myself. I don't want to say out loud the things that I think about myself because I'm not supposed to say those things out loud, but when I'm being really hard on myself, when the world just doesn't look okay to me, that I'm tired and I need to take a break. And it doesn't always mean like physically I need a break and can't you just squeeze an hour in live? I could squeeze an hour in live, but I think the break is more for my brain. And I hate to disappoint you guys, but I really felt Sunday afternoon, I could just tell that my inner dialogue was being so mean to myself, and it was like, you need a break. You need a rest, and you need to do it now, because if I wait longer, it only gets worse. So I appreciate every single one of you guys who was like, good for you. After that, Carrie messaged me and she said, you know, this is going to be good for other people too. I really hope so. I really hope that all this work will benefit more people who will say, you know, it's okay to take a break. Maybe you are disappointing people, but you have to take care of yourself. And everything is fine though. And that's actually one of the things that makes me feel like, oh, okay, you're not all right. You need a break, because everything is okay. We're okay. But for some reason, when I get tired, when mentally like I'm tired, I start to be really hard on myself, and I am trying to do better with that, and so I just needed the break. And I love you guys for supporting me. Thank you so much. I am sorry if you were disappointed. Thanks for hanging out with me for this, and we will do another one, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks down the line, and I will see you soon. Thanks. I love you. Bye.